everybody, welcome to this Well-Connected TV interview. My name is Joe Rignall, your host, and today I am joined by Wendy Myers. Hey, Wendy, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
This has been a pleasure. Just watching you over the years talk about detox and EMFs. So it's a real pleasure to finally connect with you and do this interview. So I do appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I think it's great to meet you too.
So today we're talking about, you talk a lot about detox, but we're talking specifically today about sort of EMF detox. But before we get too far down that rabbit hole, there might be a few people here who don't even know what I just said when I said EMF. So maybe just do a brief sort of 101 on what EMFs actually are.
Yeah, and I totally understand. I mean, people have focused on a lot of different aspects of their health, like their diet and exercise and supplements. But you really want to be paying attention to EMF because it's a growing concern in our environment that affects our body's functioning on a lot of different levels. So what it is exactly is electromagnetic fields or frequencies. Some people call it electromagnetic radiation. And these are frequencies that are emitted by our computers, our cell phone, our routers that provide our internet. When you, any kind of appliances, smart appliances, even your television emits Bluetooth. Anything that's Bluetooth emits EMF. Anything that's electric that you plug into the walls emit EMF. Even the wiring in your walls that are behind your headboard while you sleep, those can also be emitting EMFs called dirty electricity. So there's a lot of different sources in our environment, including all the cell phone towers and 5G towers going up. All of those are emitting very strong non-native frequencies that our bodies are not accustomed to. And there's a lot of different health issues and symptoms that can arise from being exposed to these EMFs. And I think people aren't aware of this. Number one, they don't even know what EMFs are. And they go to their doctor with like they're tired or brain fogged or what have you. And the doctors have no clue about EMF or how it's affecting their patients, unless they're a brilliant doctor or functional medicine practitioner. And because EMFs are growing in our environment, everyone has a cell phone, people have Wi-Fi, internet everywhere you go, shopping malls, coffee shops, your office, there's wireless internet. When you turn on your computer, you're looking for your network, there's 30, even 50 different wireless internet sources. Those are all emitting these frequencies that are affecting your body. And not to mention there's satellites going up in our environment right now. Elon Musk released 180 satellites last month alone, and it's slated that 100,000 satellites are going up in our environment, kind of blanketing our planet in 5G high frequency EMFs so that everyone in the world can get a connection on their cell phone. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? Everybody does. Yeah, and a lot of countries, they can't afford the infrastructure to build out erect these 5G towers, every 10 houses. It's just not feasible for them like it is perhaps in the US. A lot of towers went up during the lockdown, and there was all this infrastructure building for this wireless network. But Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos of Amazon, they're all getting in the game of these 5G satellites because whoever owns the skies is going to own all that information and, just make a lot of money as a result of that. But the result is going to be ever increasing EMFs in our environment that I assure you are going to be affecting you and causing symptoms.
There's certainly going to be a cost to our health. You talked about things like native frequencies and things like that. So, it reminds me of something like, that we have this energy field or this biofield. Talk about that we have this personal biofield and what that means.
Yes. And so our bodies have this energy field or a biofield, and this is proven. Heart math has shown that our heart emits a very high frequency, about 10 feet in diameter around our body. It's the strongest frequency our body emits. Our brain emits frequencies, our DNA emits frequencies, and that's how our body picks up information from our environment. And it's also how our body communicates with each other. It's how the heart tells one part of the body to do something. It's how the brain will tell the pancreas to release insulin. And of course, we have physical ways of communicating in our body. We have neurotransmitters and hormones and nerve impulses, but the amount of activity happening in our body cannot be accounted for in just our physical body. The amount of energy our mitochondria produce cannot be accounted for in just the amount that's created biochemically. And that's because there's this biofield that we have where we have, like I said, all the communication happening. We emit frequencies, and all those frequencies can be measured. And so what happens when you have these non-native frequencies, these high frequencies hitting our body, it affects our heartbeat. People get heart palpitations. People have poor sleep because their brain waves, their alpha, beta, theta, are being affected and interfered with. There's a lot of different examples like that, but that's why EMF exposure causes insomnia, decrease of melatonin secretion by the pineal gland, and also reduced energy production. People get, like I said, they get heart palpitations, they get anxiety, they get depression because they're not sleeping and their hearts feels weird. There's also more severe symptoms as well. Infertility, people can have tumors grow as well. Like people that are like sleeping in a bed and their head is right next to some wiring that's emitting dirty electricity, or perhaps their smart meter is in the wall right behind their bedroom emitting this huge signal, even can be sent 25 miles out to the electric company to tell them how much energy you're using. Those frequencies can dramatically affect our tissues. We can have higher blood sugar as a result. Dementia can be caused by, there's just a lot of different symptoms, some of them very, very severe, that can be caused by EMFs.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about these symptoms, and I think that's the thing that's startling about this, is that they seem so ambiguous. Like it's fatigue and brain fog and depression, anxiety. Like, who doesn't experience those things, especially from time to time? So how do you sort of discern, or maybe a better question is, how do we protect ourselves from these EMF signals? What are some real practical everyday things that people can do to protect themselves where they might be able to notice a difference?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that people can protect themselves. There's some very simple things that people can do at home. Number one, you want to not charge your cell phone next to your head at night when you're sleeping. Not a good idea, because also when you're charging your computer, it's emitting more EMF. So it's better to charge it at night, perhaps in another room besides your bedroom, and then use it unplugged if possible. You can also get Wi-Fi routers that turn off when they're not in use. And so those are great. I forget the brand exactly, but you can find them on the internet. There's more and more products available like that. You can even get a little $4 timer that just turns off the Wi-Fi router at night while it's not being in use while you're sleeping. So that's not affecting you. You can hardwire, you can hardwire a computer and opt out of wireless internet. There's certain things you can do, like this Harmony Pendant that I'm wearing. This pendant is very, very simple thing that you can put on your body, and it's not 100% protection, but it's about 48% protection from the stressful effects from EMF, based on the study that we conducted. But more importantly, it helps to reduce stress. And there's a lot of stress that people are under right now in our current environment. And people can really dramatically feel the difference. I mean, they really feel themselves relax after putting on and activating this pendant. And there's research on this. They did a 100-patient study with 8 different doctors and showed that the pendant improved people's HRV by 700%. That's their heart rate variability, which is used in a lot of different studies to measure stress or the amelioration of stress by using different modalities. And so that's really significant to improve it by 700% on average. Some people had even more improvement than that. And we also showed that people's mitochondrial energy production improves, that people's sleep improves, they have little aches and pains that go away, and people have better brain clarity, because it just essentially it communicates information to your body to help improve your body's energy field and optimize it and kind of clear stressors in the energy field. And because of that, people are more resilient to the effects of EMF. So it's not like an EMF blocker or anything like that. It's just optimizing your body's energy field so that you don't feel the effects, the stressful effects of EMF so much.
Sure. I definitely want to talk more about the Harmony Pendant. I'm pretty fast. I actually have a funny story about it. I'll get to that in a second, but I want to talk a little bit more about things like 5G, 4G. So we've seen this progression of 3G to 4G and now to 5G. And I think people are under the impression, and maybe I'm wrong, but under the impression that, as you go from 3G to 4G, it's this incremental bump up. And then from 4G to 5G, it's just like this linear bump up. Or is there an exponential increase in the EMFs from 4G to 5G? Like, what's the story there?
Yeah, so it's roughly 4G. I forget the exact megahertz, but I think it's about roughly 5 megahertz. It's operating at, and then 5G is 40 megahertz or 40 hertz that it's operating at. It's that much more. It's about 8 times more on average. So don't quote me on that, but it is, exponentially or roughly 8 times on average more harmful than 4G. And it's because the signal, the 5G signal only goes a very short distance. And so it's very, very strong. And the 4G goes like longer distances. And so it's a little bit weaker signal. And the symptoms that people have can be dramatically reduced by getting away from these frequencies. Like the farther away you are from them, the less they affect your body. So with 5G being so strong and affecting such a short distance, like for instance, like a 5G signal can go in your upstairs, but not your downstairs if you have like a large home, because it's just such a short, high frequency. So that's, one way to explain it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then it seems like, from my perspective, the cat's sort of out of the bag on this, or is there still some debate on whether the 5G will be fully rolled out? I mean, we talk about, satellites being launched into space that are going to be beam down this technology. Is it inevitable in your opinion, or do you think there's still a chance that, this could be quelled in some way?
Yeah, I mean, I think things are definitely going to get worse before they get better. I think that these satellites are going up. The testing started in August for some of these. So some people may have had some pretty strange symptoms or just feeling stressed and not really knowing why, because testing did begin in August in the United States. And the satellite, there's 100,000. They're going to be up over the next few years. There's, different companies competing for the skies right now. And there are some countries that are taking measures to protect themselves. I believe Denmark and Switzerland, they decided they wanted to wait until there was more testing before they rolled it out. I know there's some testing that was done in Europe that showed that birds and bees were dying near the 5G towers, and obviously very concerning. I think it's a threat to humanity, a threat to planetary life, when our bees are dying as a result of 5G and these high frequencies. They're people's bodies and animals and plants and birds, they're bees. They really affect, like for bees, they're using, sonar, whatever they're using to fly. It's going to affect that and affect their bodies. Same with bats and, other things. They're using different frequencies to navigate their environment. And we do as humans as well, even though people may not have awareness of that. So some countries are protecting their citizens, others are not. I think, US, our government's very much, you bought and paid for, the winner goes to the highest bidder. So I don't see any measures taken in the United States anytime soon. But I think that as this rolls out more and we start seeing more and more deleterious effects, I think there will be a public outcry and a rollback of these frequencies, because they can make telecommunications safer. They absolutely can. And I think with the rollout, they're already working on 6G and 7G, the next generation. So, and there are ways to make it safer. We can have our cake and eat it too.
That's interesting. I haven't actually heard someone say that there is a way to have 5G, from understanding, but do it in a way that's not going to be as deleterious to human health.
Yeah, I don't know about 5G perhaps, but on the next generations, they can, there is research that is being conducted. They can make telecommunications safer. They absolutely can.
So future generations of this particular 5G technology will improve, and will have all the same benefits. I mean, we're talking, about, surgeons being able to do surgery from another part of the world, and with the advent of this 5G technology. So I mean, it's compelling. And God, who doesn't want their phone to be faster and being able to, watch cat videos faster? And,
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's interesting because it's hard to really convince someone of something when they can't see it.
Yeah.
Right? This is an invisible sort of threat, and it is hard to convince someone. So what do you say to that person who's like, I don't notice any effects that they know of,
Yes.
so like bring on 5G. I want my phone to be faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things we can't see and you can measure them, like all the infrared spectrum of the sun or radio waves or microwaves. We can't see or feel these. But they do exist. They can be measured. Everything on the planet has a frequency which can be measured. There's no denying that at all. And but some people are more susceptible to EMFs. So there's some people that are completely debilitated. They cannot be on a computer. They cannot be near a cell phone. They cannot drive into cities because they start feeling like they're having a heart attack. They have heart palpitations and anxiety. I know many people like that because I work with thousands of people, and I always look at EMF mitigation to begin with because that's just the low hanging fruit to improve people's symptoms. And there's some people, they're just genetically blessed. They aren't affected by these. This is definitely going to be survival of the fittest. The people that there's going to be people that can withstand EMF technology are going to be better suited to move, into the future, and with, more and more EMFs around us, which is inevitable.
Yeah.
And so some people feel it more based on genetics, based on some people just aren't really in touch with their bodies. They're kind of disconnected physically from their bodies. They just don't feel certain things. And so a lot of people like that. Some people are extremely sensitive. Some people are kind of more like intuitives, and they're very energetically sensitive just in general. And they can definitely feel the effects of EMF more. They're just more in tune with their body or what have you. And people's health status also plays a role. So, EMFs make your cell membrane more porous. And if someone has been exposed to a lot of glyphosate, which is like a Roundup, herbicide, people that sprayed on all of our food and all of our parks and our grass, and the neighbors using it to kill the weeds in their driveway. And so that glyphosate also makes our cell membrane very porous. So if you are already kind of subject to that, if you are kind of already have a lot of cell membrane permeability and health issues from that, you're most certainly going to probably be more affected by EMF, which additionally provide another layer of cell permeability. And then it's easier for mold to get in and other infections and Lyme, and people just become weaker and more susceptible to other infections, which is why we're seeing such an uptick and an epidemic of Lyme and mold illness and other health issues.
Yeah, it becomes about resilience and taking care of your energetic body. And the more I've learned over the past, 10, 12 years of being in the health space, if you had a column for every, nutrition and exercise and sleep and things like that, the more points I'm taking away from all those other columns and put them into something that looks like energetic, something that looks like stress, anxiety, and mitigating those things, childhood trauma, and just take care of things energetically. I think I've just continue to put more and more weight on that the more I learn. And I, just know in the audience, I think that sort of resonates with a lot of people watching this. So you have this product called the Harmony Pendant, and I'm sort of naturally skeptical, as I think you kind of are too, of certain claims. What really got my attention, first of all, it's as far as, like I said, talking about energy and for lack of a better term, woo. I've got crystals here and salt lamps and sage, so I'm all about it. I really am. But there's still a bit of skepticism when I hear certain claims. But a mutual friend of ours, Lloyd Burrell, endorses the Harmony Pendant. And to me, talk about someone who's authentic, talk about someone who's real, genuine. and well knowledged with research. I trust him so much, and so when I saw that he, that he endorsed it, that's went a long way for me, and it made me want to learn more about it and talk to you about it. So funny story. Yesterday, I told my wife I was interviewing you about the Harmony Pen. She's like, "It's in my shopping cart. I was getting it for you for Christmas."
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I'm like, hold on, I might be able to get us a better deal.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get them for free.
So yeah, so talk a little. You mentioned the pendant before. Talk about it. I see geometry on it. I'm comfortable calling it sacred geometry. With what I've learned. Talk about how it works and how it builds that resilience, how it helps to stabilize that biofield and what that does.
Yes. Yeah. And so let's start first. So we'll look at the pendant here. So you can see it's got like 4 holes in it. And believe me, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, whatever. I met the maker of it, Robert Marking. He spent about 20 years very, very ill, bedridden, desperately trying to figure out how to get better. And he just went everywhere. He went to preachers, he went to energy healers, he went to doctors. He just, trying to do everything he could to get better. And so he just met this doctor that was using a similar type of device, and he got better using this, and he wanted to figure out everything about it, about energy medicine and frequencies. And he dedicated about 10 years trying to figure it out. And so he came up with this pendant with these specific holes, these specific sizes and space from each other. And he's worked with thousands of clients. And I met him, and he put this on me. I was really not well at the time I met him. And I met him at another bioenergetic training for Ness Health, and Dr. Mercola was at this training, and Dr. Lee Cowden and Nick Pinot and all these different people were there. And so they all got their pendants and all got, had their pendants activated. And for me, I was just waking up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. I was just not sleeping, stressed to the max, just gotten divorced, husband not giving me child support, and was arguing with my business partner, and that was breaking up, and just living in a moldy house. I mean, it just couldn't get worse. And so I met him, got activated with the pendant. I was literally high for about 4 days afterwards. Within about 30 minutes, I could just feel myself totally go into parasympathetic. I had been in such a stress state for years. I didn't even realize how stressed I was. And I think that's the case with a lot of people. They're just in this chronic state of stress, and they don't even realize it anymore because they've habituated to that. Sure. And then I started yawning, started getting so tired, like I wanted to go take a nap. I was so relaxed. And then I was very clear, like my brain was just firing. I felt joy for the first time, and like real pure joy for the first time in a while. So my experience was very profound. And I just felt fantastic. But Dr. Mercola, Nick Pinot, and all these other people, there was, plastic surgeons there, and they're very skeptical, and they all had the same experience. It was really profound. And then I'm like, okay, you have my attention. And then I went with Robert to like the Bulletproof conference. I saw him activate pendants on hundreds of people. Saw the reports when they came back the next day. I feel great. I slept great. I feel more relaxed. I don't have this aches and pains anymore that I used to, and et cetera. And so Robert he eventually convinced me to bring this out to the world. And then we did a study on it as well. And so let me just show you this. I'll get to how it works in a second. Let me just share my screen. Oh, I can't share it. Maybe just enable screen sharing. I just want to show the study a little bit. While you're doing that, I'll explain how it works. So the pendant works by sacred geometry, if you will. Sacred geometry, sacred just means old or ancient. It's not any kind of like woo-woo hippie term. So our energy field works by geometry. Everything is powered by geometry. So when you look at our body's energy field, they are essentially waves. You have this waveform, or so this oscillation, and there's information that is transmitted rather on that waveform or that energy wave, so to speak. And so, for instance, on a radio wave, there's information, energy and information packets, sound, music, transmitted on a radio wave. And when you tune into a certain frequency, like the 98.6, you hear that information on that radio wave. That's how all the energy waves work in our body, or work. Like the pendant sends information to the body's energy field and changes the waveform. It changes the information that's being sent to the body's energy field. And so this particular information, it's it changes the electron spin in the body. It helps to ground the body electromagnetically. It optimizes and clears the body's energy field. Like, it gets rid of any kind of distortions or imperfections in the body's energy field. It optimizes this energetic blueprint, so to speak. And you feel it almost immediately. It takes the body a few days to, like, it takes the physical body a few days to kind of get the messages and then change physically. So many people in the first 30 minutes or hour or so, they'll feel like more relaxed after putting on the pendant. But then, the first night I put it on, I didn't really sleep that great, but the next night I slept really, really good. So it just takes the body a little bit to kind of, adjust. And, but I also had like a pain in my hip I'd had for a couple of years, and that it just vanished overnight. I was really surprised by that. But so it just takes a few days for the physical body to follow suit with the new information. But you have to do this activation process. It's very simple. When you get a pendant, it gives you the instructions. You just kind of hold the pendant like 12 inches from your sternum for a couple minutes. And that sends that information to your energy field. And then you want to repeat that process every week. Because things can affect you. You can have a big blast of EMF. You can have a fight with your partner. You can have just something stressful happen. Eat food that's bad for you. That all throws you off. You can have a heavy metal exposure. All these things, like, heavy metals, chemicals, emotional trauma, EMF, all create blocks in your energy field or distort it in some way, so it's not functioning optimally or efficiently. And so you want to repeat this activation process every week to get the most benefits out of the pendant. Or you can also just, activate the pendant or harmonize with it anytime you don't feel well, emotionally, physically, what have you. And it helps a little bit, and then people will feel better initially, and then they habituate to like their new normal, like their new level of feeling better. And so, and I certainly had this where I felt amazing the first few days after wearing the pendant, and then I kind of was habituated, and I'm like, I don't really like feel anything. And I had kind of lost faith in it, and, took it off and didn't wear it for a couple of months. But then when I put it back on again and activated again, I definitely felt the difference. And that's happened a couple of times. So I'm like anyone, I get something and play with it for a minute and then forget about it. Same thing happened with the pendant. But I assure you it is working. Even if you don't feel it working, there's some people in our study said they didn't really feel anything. They didn't really feel any changes. But the doctors in the study noticed on their HRV test that they did, that tested about 30 different variables, including their heart rate variability, that they did see positive changes on their testing. So even if you don't feel anything, there are, positive things happening. And we can go over the study now, if you like.
Yeah, it'd be great. You should be able to share. I wanted to say, you answered my next question about it almost sounds like an attunement. Activating the pendant almost sounds like an attunement in like Reiki. So that's kind of fascinating to me. But
yeah, it's like a tune-up basically for your body's
like
energy field.
Like being like, I don't know if you're familiar with like the Reiki energy work or things like that. So
yeah, and it's very simple to do. Like, there's a lot of stress management tools out there, but this is so easy to do. And it's so easy to wear, and it looks good. I like functional jewelry, but I think one big problem today is that so many people are in a chronic state of stress, and that is throwing a wrench in their ability to sleep, in their energy production, in their ability to detox, and their ability to heal and recover from chronic illness. Because you have to be in a parasympathetic relaxed nervous system state in order to do that. So I really feel like wearing the pendant helps to potentiate any other therapy that you're doing, or just your goal to improve your health. If we look at this study, this is on harmonypendant.com, but the stress measurements, like we did like a baseline test, like just testing someone, their heart rate variability and 30 other variables. And then we introduced a high EMF source.
I'm sorry, is there a way for you to go full screen? Because the bottom of that is a little bit cut off. So I'm not sure.
It is. Okay, here. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and so then we introduced a high EMF source, and then we did another test and saw all the people's numbers drop, once they're exposed to EMF. All these variables, their heart rate variability, got worse. And then we activated the pendant while exposed to the EMF source. And then all of their numbers went up, even improved over and above the baseline. So even when you're
exposure.
Yeah. So even when you're exposed to high EMF source, it still helps to dramatically improve your original state, so to speak. And so what we found with the pendant is that it improved the group's heart rate variability index by 700% on average. It reduced some effects of stress induced by EMF on average by 48%. And I'll take it because there's no EMF solutions out there that are 100%, that are 100% blocking everything or transmuting everything or what have you. So, the pendant's great because it goes with you everywhere you go. Whereas a lot of people create like this sanctuary in their home where they have earthing sheets, or they have their whatever, they turn off their Wi-Fi router, but you can't turn off your neighbor's Wi-Fi router. You can't turn off the Starbucks Wi-Fi router or what have you. It just goes with you everywhere, and I'll take whatever protection I can get.
Absolutely.
And then also we saw it significantly increased energy reserves and mitochondrial power on average by 530%. It also increased total energy beyond the baseline before the introduction of the EMF stressor. It lowered biological age by 2 years on average. I'll take that. I'll take any reduction in that. It improved.
Can I get 4 or 6 years off my?
Yeah, that was on average. So some people it might be more. And then their overall markers of health were found to improve by 138%, and it enhanced the body's biophoton field, which the mitochondria uses biophotons to absorb energy from the sun and then convert that into energy. So it improved that on average by 140%. It also improved people's psycho-emotional state, like the brain's optimal function, and improved just overall function and ability to handle stress on average by 100%. And it rescued energy output dipping into the negative and enhanced it on average by 80%. It enhanced the body's autonomic regulation of the body on average by 310%, which is why they just really feel, their body feeling less stressed. And then improve the body's biorhythms or circadian rhythms and other bodily cycles on average by 160% on average. So pretty cool. And we also have another study that's going on the side. We showed that the pendant also improves chakra and meridian flow. Some meridians improved by their function improved by 2,000%. So it definitely improves energy flow on a lot of different levels in the body.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
If folks are sort of new to this, to talking about energy, and I'm just going to kind of throw this out there because I know it's helped me, talking about energy and these things that we can't necessarily see. I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lipton and Dr. Joe Dispenza, who really connects this science with this energy, this talk of energy. So I really encourage people to check out, work by people like that, Dr. Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, because it really does make sense. And again, the more I've learned, the more weight I put on this work, and anything that we can do. I mean, it sounds like the Harmony Pendant goes well beyond just sort of giving us more resilience against EMFs.
Yeah.
Reduction in anxiety and stress and better sleep. I mean, these things are, invaluable to our overall health. So I mean, that's why I can't wait to get mine. And it's, it's so funny because I'm thinking like, I can't wait to get it and wear it and like see someone else with it and be like, oh, like you get it, like you're
Yeah.
part of the club.
Yeah, and it's like anything, some people are going to have a profound experience with the pendant, and other people are going to be like, yeah, like I don't really feel anything, because the reasons I explained before. Some people are just not in touch with their body; they're not sensitive to energy. Some people are operating a really high level of health, so the pendant's only going to like improve them a percent or two. So it really depends on a lot of different factors. But if someone, it's risk free. If someone wants to try it, there's 100% money back guarantee. If someone's doesn't resonate with someone, we give them their money back. It doesn't matter what time or what have you. It's 100% guaranteed. There's no like time limit on the return if people aren't happy. Yep.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, we want people 100. I want a smile on everyone's face. Like if it just doesn't work for them, it's not a big deal. No problem for a refund.
Yeah, I mean, certainly everyone's different. What's going to work for one person may not work for someone else. But it sounds like with the research you've done and the testimonials that you have, it really sounds like something exciting and worth checking out. So I definitely encourage people to take a look at the information below this video with how to purchase yours, and talk about what kind of deal people can get if they check out below the video.
Yeah. So just click the link below, and we definitely give you guys a deal on like one pendant. But if you want some for your spouse, we have a better deal on like 2 pendants. And if you want 4 pendants for your whole family or your dog or what have you, you can it's buy 3, it's get 1 free. So it's a really great deal. And then for the holidays, we're giving an additional 20% off that as well. So this is the best deal that we've ever offered. And so they make amazing gifts. I mean, you're giving the gift of health, and it's a beautiful functional jewelry. We have people buy it just because they like how it looks. Some people aren't as concerned about the function of it. And you can put it, on I had my 2 dogs when they were alive. They both wore pendants because it optimized their health. So you can put it on any animal, your children, babies, it doesn't matter. And it can be worn as a pendant, or you can just put it in your purse. You can just put it like under your pillow at night if your husband's not cooperating, or your child, is maybe doesn't want to wear it or what have you. We also replace lost ones. Like if your child loses one, we replace those free of charge also. And we have 18 karat gold plated ones with stainless steel, totally hypoallergenic, no nickel or anything. And then 18 karat gold plated ones as well.
Cool. And if you're just listening to this, or you're just listening to this in your car, you can go to harmonyemf.com. So I just grabbed. So it's HARMONIEMF.com, and I'll take you to the page.
Fantastic.
About it. So, anything else, Wendy, that you think we need to cover as far as this goes?
Yeah, so I agree with you, about the importance of paying attention to bioenergetics, because I know I started out my website, myersdetox.com, really focusing on heavy metals and chemicals and detoxing that from the body. But I quickly learned, working with clients and worked with thousands of clients around the world, that you can't just pay attention to your body's physical function. It's certainly one aspect. You need to eat a good diet, you need to take supplements, you need to sleep and exercise and take care of your body physically. But for many people, I've seen astounding results doing bioenergetic work. There's lots of different ways to work with bioenergetics. There's Nest Health, there's Healy, there's AO, there's lots of really cool devices, Meridian devices. There's lots of amazing ways to work with energy, but you want to be doing something. The Harmony Pendant's another way to work with energy, but that cannot be ignored, because when people have emotional trauma, and when they have EMF exposures or heavy metals and chemicals, these all cause energetic blocks from the body that interfere in your body's functioning. And the physical body takes directions from the messages that are transmitted in our body physically, or energetically rather. So it's much easier and simpler and more elegant to make all these corrections in the energy field for the physical body to follow suit. So many people spend years, decades just trying to force their body physically to do something, or take a supplement or a medication to elicit a change physically, but I assure you, it's much better to get to the root cause of the problem, working energetically in the body as well.
I love that. And we're both FDN practitioners. And so we were really taught to look for that root cause. I originally got, gosh, FDN certification probably 8 or 9 years ago. And, we're always taught like root cause, and people talk about like leaky gut as the root cause. It's like, well, no, what's causing the leaky gut? Like, and if you keep going, sooner or later, you're going to realize that there's something energetic going on, whether it's a childhood trauma or something in the environment, or, there's going to be a root cause that, goes deeper than maybe what people think. So I'd love that this really addresses that. So I can't wait to get mine, and I'm excited. So thank you again so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.